This seriously looks very good. This is using the 4K resolution at 30 frames per second with a small ring light in front of us. We're looking crisp and we even get some subtle background blur to the image too. Even the 1080p looks really good quality too, and even when we move further away from the lens, the focus keeps up really well and you can see that the background slowly comes into focus with us. Oh yeah, this can also do 60 frames per second at 1080p, so if fluency in movement is what you are looking for, then this can certainly deliver it with a great looking picture. The 4K will bring better quality, which is to be expected, but if you want to go for that lower 1080 resolution and get the full amount of frames, then I don't think you'll be disappointed. Even without the ring light in front of us and some natural light coming in through the window, and it performs extremely well. And again, this is the same with the 1080p with really good colour representation and keeping us in focus even when moving around. In a completely dark room and just the light coming from our laptop screen, and it's clear to see that more lighting is going to be needed, and it is quite difficult to see us with grain and artifacting being noticeable. Moving it to our desktop PC where we have 3 screens, and it's a much better experience with a really good looking image considering how dark it is, but there is still some noticeable grain in the background. Using a couple of larger ring lights and the image looks great. Just be careful when waving as this can trigger the tracking to begin, but I'm really impressed with how crisp this image actually is. The autofocus on this performs extremely well. You will need to be further than 4 inches away from the lens, else it will make whatever you're trying to focus on look blurry, but moving away and closer to the lens results in a really snappy experience and a very good result. Removing our green screen in OBS gave us a great result, and this is without moving any sliders to fine tune the image. This is a microphone test using the Insta360 Link Webcam. This is the kind of audio you can expect from the inbuilt microphone. If you use a whiteboard, there's 4 sticky pads in the box which go onto each corner of the board, and when you give the camera the V sign, this will tell it to stop focusing on you and to focus on that whiteboard. The V gesture needs to be in frame to revert back to the original image. Just make sure that you're not blocking the tracking points, as this will make the 360 wander around the room in search for the 4 tracking stickers. Performing the L gesture with your hand and moving your hand upwards will zoom in, and holding the same gesture and moving downwards will zoom back out. Holding your hand open like an i5 and this will enable tracking, and it will follow you around no matter where you go. It is quite difficult to jump out of the frame for it to stop tracking, but it is possible. The tracking speed can be adjusted in the controller software, and there is a fast option which makes it even more difficult for it to stop tracking you. Make sure your hand isn't covering your face when performing the gesture, else the tracking will not be activated. There's no privacy cover with this, and that's because it doesn't need one. When you close down your software, the camera will automatically point downward so it's no longer looking at you. The Insta360 Link Controller software has plenty of really useful features. On the main page we can enable the tracking rather than doing the high five gesture. The same goes for the whiteboard mode rather than giving the V symbol. Enable overhead mode, which is ideal if you are unboxing products or performing live streams and you need to show the audience what it is that you are doing. You are required to have it mounted at a 90-degree angle, so you will need a clamp or tripod which is capable of doing this for that top-down shot. This performs extremely well with the focus being extremely fast, and you get a nice blurry background too when you hold something close to the lens. You do lose the functionality of moving the head in this mode using the software, but you can manually move the head into position. What's great is that you can leave it set up on a tripod in overhead mode, and when you switch to normal mode, you don't need to mess about with that tripod so it faces you, even though the camera itself is angled at 90 degrees. If you don't want to go full overhead mode, there is the option of desk view mode where no accessory is required, and this will tilt the head down at a 45-degree angle, allowing you to show things on camera without the need of an additional tripod. Again, this performs extremely well with rapid focusing, and you can use the software to move the head in this mode. If you create vertical videos for YouTube or TikTok, then you're in luck. A streamer mode can be enabled, and this allows you to switch the head into portrait mode ready for you to record. The preset position is quite possibly one of my favourite features available. So rather than having multiple webcams focus on different things around the room, we can use the controller at the top to position the head of the webcam and save each thing that you want it to look at. And clicking on each of these presets will automatically move the head around, and if you've used the zoom function, it remembers that too. Be aware though that if you're moving from a bright scene to a dark one then back to a bright one, then it may take a while for that auto exposure to readjust. You can make it adjust quicker by putting your hand over the lens and and removing it, and that seems to get things going again. You can also manually do this by adjusting the ISO, shutter speed, and even the exposure curve is available to really fine tune that image. Gestures can be disabled if you have no interest in using them. You can start tracking by tapping the unit itself, but this feature can also be disabled. We can have it so your head is zoomed into. This will give you a very narrow field of view. Half the body can be shown, which will widen that field of view, or you can have your whole body on display, which will be great for you Just Dance streamers out there. HDR is available, but unfortunately this doesn't work in 4K, so you will need to be using 1080p resolution to take advantage of this. Having it next to the Sony a6400 mirrorless camera, and the image quality from the Insta360 Link is fantastic. A mirrorless camera will give you a more crisp image, but for a webcam, I think the 360 Link does a great job. If you have no interest in the gimbal features, but want a regular webcam with a great looking image, then make sure you click on the video on screen now.